7 a.m. class. So I was like, you know, I'll just have some coffee. I'll give in to fake peer pressure that didn't exist. So I stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts. I got some coffee, and they're like, "How do you like it?" And I was like, "I don't know. Just give me coffee." And I took a drink and immediately burned myself, and spit it out on my steering wheel, and that was it.
And then you sued them?
Yeah.
What happened at was it McDonald's?
Yeah, she got like third-degree burns though. It was pretty sad.
Oh, Heather thinks tea tastes like dirt water too.
Yeah, it does.
Megan, can you do an imitation of what it sounds like when somebody orders coffee? Like the words they say?
Mocha frappa monkey chino thing.
I do the same thing. It's like I have no idea anything about coffee culture, so I'm like,
husband
let me get a double tall, non-skinny frap with side mocha something.
And extra splash of cinnamon.
It is really kind of frightening to try and go in and order coffee when you're a non-coffee drinker.
Yeah,
so sometimes my husband. Like I want to get one for my husband, or like, you know, he's doing something, so I'll have to go in.
And they're so specific.
Yeah, it's very specific, and it's very sort of traumatizing if you get the wrong order. Heaven forbid you get the wrong order.
Did you get this with walnut milk?
Or how many sugars do you put in?
Making milk out of anything.
How much milk do you put in? It's really...
Yeah. Like
although I was good when we were in France. I would get up early in the morning and go and get my wife the very specific type of coffee she liked, which I had to order in French, and then get something from the patisserie and go back up to the hotel. That was good brownie points there.
My wife will always get Starbucks, and whenever I have to get it for her, she has to text it to me so I don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what to say.
You just hold up the phone to them here.
I need this.
Make this.
So there's an app for that now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Half of those come out looking like desserts.
The joke I've heard in Seattle is that Starbucks is just open up a Starbucks inside the Starbucks bathroom. So, just one everywhere.
A comedian who does a bit about that.
Russ, you're here to see this thing through to the end.
Yes, I am.
Or to make one make a flying boat appear, hopefully.
But there is no end.
No.
Nope.
Nope. Chapter.
Another chapter.
Well said.
Rennie and I were talking earlier about what would we do if we got more time or got to come back, and I was leaning towards an expanding square, but maybe shaded more towards the beach side. If you keep going further out, it eliminates the ability of somebody in a canoe at shore to see.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'd also go back to that Barefoot Bar, talk to Candyman, the bartender, and find out the family where the woman said she stood in her A-frame house that's out on, she looks straight out, just to get another bearing point.
Actually, I mean, you're not far enough out in time that a little appeal in media or social media in Samoa to see if anybody has a relative that they recall talking about it, or because a lot of the houses here are higher up the hills, so they're not in a tsunami zone. You might, I mean, anecdotal second generation, that would be really tough. But if they told you where the family homestead was, that would.
Well, there is this one A-frame that, who told me this story? Was it Steve?
Stephen, but I was there for the story as well.
Oh, you were?
Yes,
okay.
it was.
So you relate it, because now I'm doing it third hand.
Well, you basically had it right. The was an older woman that saw the plane go down, and she would stand in front of her house and point to the location, and it would line up with the roof line of her A-frame house. So that was kind of the bearing, and she was around until the last decade or so. But the story still persist in the village.
Yeah, every time we were on watch and we saw that people in American Samoa were tuned in, we would repeat that story.
Yeah,
because it seems like it's the kind of thing that would be told and retold through the generations. And, so yeah, we just would say, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, ask your aunts and uncles and friends as well, and what do they remember in their families? So
there's actually a local radio station in Pongo Pongo that's very popular. That is probably a great connection too.
Rennie, if you had more time, how would you expand the search area?
Just do more of it.
Well said.
Yep. I think, yeah, with the information we have, just keep covering ground close to...
It's here.
I would come back with some new toys.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably AUV side scan.
AUV side scan advanced team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Disregard.
Okay.
Disregard.
Remember the first time I went out with an AUV with the ROV? The AUV team somehow damaged the cable to their USBL head in the sea chest on the Tommy and Thomas G. Thompson. So they kind of pinched one of our beacons, and we're using our over the side pole.
When was that?
That was, oh gosh, might have been sometime in the last decade, before Peyton was a teenager.
All right.
Sorry, but.
Do you remember what project that was on?
It was on an Endeavor. We were.
It was Endeavor?
Yeah, we discovered a new structure that year. I forget what they named it, some crazy name.
Okay, it wasn't axial.
No, it was on an Endeavor.
Okay, disregard.
Anyways, they launched the AUV and it does this slow circle down to 3,000 meters and then starts its task. And so we had our beacon on it, and our navigator was helping to monitor it.
Was that Vinny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I just emailed him today.
So Vinny said, "Hey, your AUV just took off to the west at 7 knots." And the AUV pilot, which I thought was a dream job,
right,
claimed that that was impossible, and he was still in contact with it. So some time goes by, and
my money's on Vinny every time.
There is some bantering, but yes, if you know Vincent, he's usually correct, and he was.
Yep.
So, oh no, I've lost contact with it.
Oh, did you?
Well, I told you, 15 minutes ago where it was. So they plotted what its course would have been, based on the speed and the
this
bearing.
is in the Thompson?
Yeah, it was on the Thompson. So with the side USBL pull down, you can only do like 2 or 3 knots. So it was in the evening. You have to get the crew up to lift the pole up and secure it.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people.
And then, so the Thompson full steam ahead to get ahead of where they thought the AUV would be, and they deployed the pole and got all set up, and sure enough, the AUV zooms by at 7 knots right through the USBL cone.
Wow.
And so they got another bearing and speed on it, and were able to pick up the USBL pole and go
tell it to stop
ahead one more time. No, they were trying to communicate with it as it flew by. So it flew through the USBL cone the second time, and the third time they tried, they couldn't they didn't have any luck. It had veered off at some point. So.
Wow.
So for 3 days, we looked for the AUV. They had the Coast Guard out there. They had the NOAA ships. That particular outfit's got a lot of stroke.
I love that vessel as a platform.
It is a nice platform.
Yeah. That bowling alley of a main lab, the monster fantail, the little area on starboard side, like where the pole is.
Yeah.
That's a great, great platform. Not so much since the midlife, but great platform.
I haven't been on it since the midlife.
Yeah, so I can type out later.
I don't think I've been on it this decade. So,
Hey Dan, when you're talking, we've got a big buzz in the back row here.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody else is clear.
Let me see where you're at. Minus 5.5. No. You want to try the voice enhancer?
How's that? Does that sound better?
Loud and clear.
My ears ache, but I press on.
Man.
Not allowed in that side scan.
Just need one thing.
Yep.
Suitcase, headrest, airline.
We need that more in the camera than in the side scan.
Anything.
So will we get to see the post-process side scan map?
Mike's here. He's been the one working on it.
Will that be published before the?
Oh, Mike's here too.
Yeah. These guys are seeing it through.
We can go through and point out all the things that could be rocks.
See, there's a little something. Maybe we'll get.
Negative research is still research.
I have not given up hope by any stretch.
We still got 12 minutes left for the Simone Clipper to suddenly appear.
Fingers crossed.
We still have at least 1 PSI in the critical Argus electrical compensation circuit.
We'll probably raise up, come up as we ascend. I blow that gauge out. Kind of forgot what Argus looks like.
We've gone how many hours at 1 PSI positive pressure?
I don't know when it got down to 1. You do probably.
Yeah, let's look back through the 10 pages of logs here.
So we're at 123 hours right now, total dive.
It dropped below 2 PSI positive pressure on the 17th of July? 18th of July. What day is it now?
20.
20th.
There's a bright blip on the mezzo. Oh, did they change it back?
Yeah, they changed our color scale.
Yeah.
There's a bright bit.
Yeah, they don't like our...
There we go.
Sepia.
Sepia?
Sepia.
Sepia.
Sepia. I thought we had calculated 124.5 hours.
That's what we should be at,
That's
but we're 123 and a half. 35. Oh, maybe we were doing the ascent.
That'd be pretty awesome if that was it. Or a part of it.
Is that it? Or is it still up there?
It's still up there.
Yeah, somebody reverse that thing.
We can see it visual. Looks like a rock.
Yep.
Rock.
There it is.
It's a big rock.
Does kind of have a depression around it. Actually, no, that might just be another rock.
It's a depressed rock.
It's depressed that we didn't find the plane. Come on.
How do you change the color palette to sepia?
You invent sepia.
We're gonna.
Oh, just.
We can go through the array of colors here if you would like.
Yeah.
Got copper.
No way, copper.
Would that be like Cooper
Simrad
or
one.
Summer?
How's Cooper doing?
Oh, he's fine.
Profile palette. Simrad 2, my personal favorite.
Don't like it.
We use a
Simrad
Do
3.
not like that.
Simrad 4.
We use a service called Rover, rover.com.
Okay,
Oh, I use Rover. It's awesome.
To take care of Cooper when we're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little photos you get
So
and everything.
great.
So great.
Reverse gray. Sorry for blinding everybody.
Oh man.
Back row.
Oh.
User
It's like the
defined.
THX sound check for your eyes.
How many lumens?
Banana.
Great.
Edison.
Depends on the density of the banana.
So guys, I wonder in the 8 minutes remaining to us, I have words.
Yeah, so of course.
Let's hear it.
I'd like to just take a moment. I know a lot of people have been watching and following along with us, and they're going to have questions, and probably at the top of that list is they're going to want to know, at the end of this, am I disappointed? Am I frustrated? And in all honesty, I'd have to say yes. I mean, who wouldn't be? We had a very specific aim, and we haven't met it yet. But, am I upset? Am I angry? Not in the least. I'm proud. Proud of the work we did, proud of my team, and proud of this crew who made this project their own and strove tirelessly to see it through. You need look no further than the record-shattering feat of so far 123 hours of continuous ROV operations. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied we collected all the information possible beforehand. I'm satisfied that we allocated our resources responsibly. I'm satisfied that we made the best decisions and prioritized areas of highest probability. I'm satisfied we covered the area thoroughly and missed nothing. I'm satisfied we made the most of our opportunities and our assets, and I would not change a single decision. Also, I'm grateful. Grateful for the support and fellowship of all of our partners at Ocean Exploration Trust, Search Incorporated, the Igor Isikorsky Historical Archives, the University of Miami Libraries, Pan Am Historical Foundation, Pan Am Museum Foundation, and a host of other incredible, passionate, giving individuals, too numerous to list now. I'm grateful to everyone listening in, who followed us, who joined the adventure, who hoped with us and despaired with us and encouraged us. We may not have reached our aim. We may not have reached our goal, but that was not our sole aim. The only failure is failing to acknowledge and build on what we achieved. We have viewed and recorded remote areas of the planet previously unseen by human eyes. We've mapped and characterized a large swath of unexplored territory. We've completed a methodical, thorough, and highly disciplined search of high-priority areas and laid the groundwork for future missions to build upon. We've conducted a demanding expedition with elan and integrity. We've shared the entire effort with the public. One of the things I was most excited about from the start was the chance for people to experience the full reality of exploration. I wanted to let them inside the whole process of researching and refining, seeking and revising. The nature of exploration is to journey into the unknown, to face uncertainty and meet it with determination and persistence. Perhaps most importantly, we've reintroduced the world to the remarkable story of Samoan Clipper, Pan Am, and the era of the great flying boats. It all happened not far from where we are right now. We are so very close. And while we are still in this place, I want to pause and remember the 7 aviation pioneers who rest here. Tom J. Findley, radio operator. Jack A. Brooks, assistant engineer. Fred J. McLean, navigating officer. John W. Stickrod, flight engineer. Paul S. Brunk, junior flight officer. Cecil G. Sellers, first officer. Edwin C. Musick, commander. And before we depart, I will leave you with 2 promises. You are not forgotten, and we are not done with the search for Samoan Clipper.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you all.
The opportunity to be here with you, Russ.
Yeah.
It's my honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridge nav. Hold position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronnie, we gonna let Argus come to rest under the vessel?
What's that?
You gonna let Argus settle out?
No, I think we'll just pull up.
Okay.
time-wise.
Are we ready right now?
Yeah, I suppose if we're ready to cut the survey in the back.
Let's do it.
Okay.
End of survey.
Come up.
All right. Coming up.
End of survey, end of line. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm grateful.
Great
to
survey.
this team too.
Great being with you guys. Best watch.
Best watch. All right.
First watch and last watch.
Not sorry.
ROV's off bottom.
Up bottom, Roger.
Marked.
Oh.
I'm gonna put the colors back to normal here.
Roger. Do I
We leave it on.
Video's off SPL.
You can kick on that other thruster though if you want. Roger. You can check it now while we're swinging in. There's the fin will keep our heading correct. It's been my experience that if you turn everything off, the ground fault goes away.
Next Herc dive number is H1764. Roger.
Sorry, as long as you can maintain heading with the one thruster, that we know that give that poor forward thruster a rest. It's got a 120-hour run. Hey, you can't start demob yet. We're still in the water, man. Put that screw gun away. Video guys, they rock star in and rock star out. As long as the tension doesn't bounce heavily over 10 on the heaves there, I think we're golden.
Thanks to everyone who's joined us as we search for the Samoan Clipper. We are currently ascending with Argus for recovery. We'll be ascending for the next probably 2 hours before we recover.
Summer, we'll just stay here for now. It seems like the heading's fine for recovery. It doesn't seem too swelly. But if we do change, then we'll just match it.
That's an impressive pattern.
Yeah.
So how many years before we see that on Google Oceans? 5 years? Pipeline? It will never go. It's not qualified for a map. What's NCEI?
Dan, what was our maximum speed of ascent?
You're happy for us to turn it off for you? You're happy for us to turn off power to the instrument? Yeah. Yeah, it'll improve our numbers there for the.
Hey guys, I only have one person in this flight now. Stephen's done. So if you can just kind of police up your area when you're done, because I haven't cleaned the van before. So we can just kind of gather up anything that people have left behind. That'd be helpful.
Okay. Ed, do you want this here? Yeah. Okay.
You bet. A lot you brought to this table.
What do you bring? Yeah. Everybody is great.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you.
Wrapped up in his world.
Hey. Thank you. Great job to you as well. It's been a pleasure having you. So for our viewers, we are continuing to bring up Argus so we can recover Argus on deck. We'll actually be traveling into Pongo Pongo early this morning, about 8 a.m. or so time here in American Samoa, and we'll be resuming operations to explore the National Marine Sanctuary of American Samoa starting Monday. While we continue to ascend, excuse me, feel free to send in any questions you may have. Thanks to those of you who've tuned in with us all week. Peyton, you still back there?
Yep.
So you have 1 year of college underneath your belt. What was your favorite thing?
What was my favorite thing? I think that's hard. I have a lot of favorite things.
Yeah?
And like, honestly, some of the friends I made, just totally unexpectedly, my friend group sort of formed from like a couple of them I had met beforehand. We were all in the same lecture and we all just started sitting together in the front row. Shout out to Neha, who I met at the mill in the makerspace and then found out was also in my major and like in my class. So just like meeting people and forming communities with them has been really fantastic. And I've been very, very blessed by that this last year.
Do you have just one roommate, or do you live in like a quad?
I had 2 roommates.
Did you know them before
one
starting?
I did. The other was from San Fran.
Nice.
And he's moving out, and then I have another high school friend moving into our room.
Nice.
Yeah. What was your college experience like?
Oh man, it was interesting. Eastern Michigan University, mainly a commuter school. So as soon as you pretty much leave Eastern's campus, you're on the University of Michigan's campus. So the first year I attended, I commuted, and my parents thought it was important for me to make sure I focused on school. High school for me wasn't the most exciting, and
understandably.
So one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what I do in education is I prefer students to have a much more enjoyable experience in school than I did, and therefore be inspired to try a little bit harder than I did.
Yeah.
Full disclosure on that one. So I did, while my freshman year, still working and coaching and running and all that good stuff, and then the next year I moved on to campus, and just tried to do a lot of everything I could from there. I started the club track team. I ran with them before being picked up by USA Track and Field team. Thank you. I became an RA. I did a lot of philanthropy. There's These Hands Don't Hurt. It was a organization to help those who suffer from domestic violence.
Wow.
Relay for Life, a few other organizations in the area. And yeah, I tried to do a lot of positive impact on campus whenever I could. I got the campus to become smoke-free.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big achievement.
Well, they didn't implement it as quickly as I would have hoped after I got everything passed, but I don't know. I think I learned a lot about the impact you can have. I think that was probably the most fun part about college.
Gotcha.
Kind of figure out all the stuff that you can do and who you can be. You have a lot more fun ahead of you, sir. A lot of great friends.
Do not doubt that.
And it seems like you're pretty involved already, so you have.
Oh, for sure. People are always asking me how I have time for everything, and my answer is usually I don't, but I make it work.
Yeah, that's typically what happens. My classes would start at 7. I'd get off by 2, and then I'd go to practice, and then go coach. After I finished running, or I try to get both in right around the same time, and then I'd go eat, and then I would work the front office desk, and I worked security, night watch, from 10 until about 2.
That's an impressive list. An impressive schedule, actually, correction.
Yeah, I mean, you just make it work, just like you do. Gotta pay the bills. Running for, the great part about the club structure at Eastern Michigan University is you could apply for funding. So even though I didn't officially run for the school, it was Eastern Michigan University was the Eagles. We became the emus, so we were the road running emus, and we would go to all the same meets they did and compete. And the club structure, you could apply for funding, so it paid for uniforms, it paid for all sorts of great stuff, so other people could compete. And I think by the time I graduated, we finished 19th at nationals.
Wow, that's awesome.
But just a group of passionate people, just like the people you meet. The University of Washington is also probably significantly larger than Eastern Michigan was.
Very big.
I think we only had about 20K, I think, at ours. But you would only see about 2,000 lived on campus. It was almost entirely commuter. How big is Washington?
I always forget the numbers off the top of my head. Oh, hold on. Let me mark down that we passed 2,600 meters. I should still be doing notes. We have, I think, 27,000 people on campus, including like staff and faculty. I want to say that.
I'm Googling it.
It's huge. Yeah, probably check it. Okay, so we're still on stream. I think, yes. And I think like there's pros and cons to that, because like the pros are
University of Washington 46,081.
46,000. Okay.
That was in 2016.
I underestimated it.
Yeah, that's a large group of people.
Yeah, the incoming class was like 7,000 people. And so like the advantage is, yeah, you get access to a lot more resources, especially because it's a UW gets a lot of grants and grant funding. And so like as a student, you have a lot of opportunities available to you, but at the same time, it's also difficult for some classes, and the learning style isn't for everyone, because, you know, sometimes you're in a classroom with 500 people.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe not for everyone, but still a pretty incredible school.
Yeah, big classes and big lectures.
Oh, yeah.
That's an unfortunate and antiquated part of education.
Yeah. It's just interesting thinking about how much value as like students going into college we put into like where we're going and where we're studying, and then talking to people who have actually been through college and are starting on their careers, it really doesn't necessarily have a bearing, and it's hard to like take that step back and really like be reflective of like, okay, how do I put value in even just like the location where I'm studying and try to like define myself based on that.
Yeah, that's some great insight.
Yeah.
You can be successful no matter what university you go to. It's how you measure that success and what you do with your time there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There's lots of ways, I mean, at any university to distinguish yourself as someone who, whatever field you go into, should strongly consider to hire or accept. So no matter where you are, be awesome like Peyton.
Or Brian.
My college days are long behind. Well, I finished my master's a year ago, so.
Not too long behind you.
Yeah.
What sort of work did you have to do for your master's?
Oh, a extreme amount of administrative work and especially writing. So I got my master's in educational administration, and I took my courses online through Valdosta State University, and it kind of worked out pretty well for me. So for those of you who have heard me talk before, I'm an educator, and I'm very focused, and some might argue pretty easily that I'm obsessed with STEM education and project-based learning. And in developing the program for my previous school, I had to take on quite a few different responsibilities and roles and meetings that closely mirrored a lot of the things that I was required to do for my field experience for administration, in addition to my coursework. But it was a lot of writing. I think November, about a year and a half before I graduated, I generated just over 100 pages of content.
Oh my goodness.
Just documentation, analyzing of data, and summary of work and field experiences, and presentation notes, you name it. Questions coming in about Argus. Argus has been in the water for 124 hours.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, longest dive we have ever done with an ROV.
Yep.
Probably not a record we're gonna break for a while.
Yeah. Well, having just Argus in there, not having to come up for samples, definitely, or to unload samples and go back, definitely helps. But yeah, that's a long dive.
That was a long dive.
I'm
That's
bummed I
5
didn't get a
days
styrofoam
of dive.
cup. Yeah. I'm bummed we didn't put some cups on there.
Oh yeah, next time.
I'm gonna have to color some and then try to make them look as good as something that you probably drew.
Oh, you flatter me.
You are an amazing artist. If you all, I don't know if you have tried to tag EV Nautilus in any of the things that you've posted on social media.
Oh, I have.
Yes, but if you follow us on social media, you should definitely see if you can search and find some of those illustrations that Peyton has done. The man is so talented. We were on a dirt road in a bus, and he was able to still draw and color. Didn't miss a beat.
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, no problem. Gotta recognize talent where it's at. Greetings to you, our Netherlands viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are still ascending. We'll be doing so for probably another hour and a half.
We're currently at 2,400 meters, just about.
Okay, so we're making time.
We're making time.
But
yeah, now is a great time for any questions anyone might have. We're pretty much just in the control van waiting for Argus to come back to the surface.
question coming in about the explosion and what it have done to the Samoan Clipper. And I mean, we don't have any definitive answers. The only answers and information we have is that pieces of material from inside of the plane were located, and some of them were shown to be exposed to heat, some of them were burned. The eyewitness said that the wings floated at the surface for a small chunk of time before sinking, but without having any eyes on it, we can't definitively say. We anticipate that the plane may have possibly blown into several sections, so maybe the front and the tail and the wings, but I mean, that's pure conjecture since we don't have any definitive evidence to kind of help us work backwards to figure out what it was, any pictures, any more eyewitness accounts to verify. The USS Avocet and the Grumman duck that was flown over the area never saw the plane before it sank. So we have only that eyewitness account from a local who was, I believe, on their boat in between islands and by happenstance witnessed the events unfold firsthand. That's a great question. Keep them coming in.
Yeah, too bad Lonnie just left, but...
Oh no. Lonnie's done her part. She's
a
very knowledgeable woman who's experienced more in her life than many of us would ever hope to in 10 lifetimes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting that so many of the things recovered from the flight, like, were still easily recognizable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the whole of the Sikorsky S-42B must have also split open. And so I'm just very curious about like how it would have broken in order for all of these artifacts from the cockpit, from the navigator's table, all sorts of things to still be found in the water.
I feel like the sides may have blown out, but I mean that is
pretty
just
likely
100% conjecture off of no explosives expertise on my part whatsoever.
Yeah, from what we know, folks, there were the gas tanks, or the fuel tanks on board that were in one of the compartments. So the plane was sort of split up into multiple compartments, I think Alpha through A through E. And so in one of them, there was like a walkway through, and on either side, inside of the walls, there were the fuel tanks. And so it's very likely that an explosion started from the engines, which were connected via the fuel lines, and then would have also caused an explosion in those fuel tanks as well, possibly blowing out the plane there. But we don't know whether or not it ended up being in one piece, whether it blew out from the bottom or the sides. There's a lot of questions that are still unanswered and will be until the Samoan Clipper is found.
Yep. And just because we're stopping this leg of the search doesn't mean that the search ends. Russ and Lonnie and Mike Brennan and Dr. Megan are just going to continue on review, and I'm sure they're going to continue on the search and their work and efforts as they're spent a large amount of time getting to this point, and don't plan on giving it up now because of its importance and so many different capacities.
For sure.
Good question coming in about Argus, and Argus, we don't really expect any extraordinary wear on Argus from having been underwater for so long. You know, Argus is designed for this, and that's the great part about why we use ROVs instead of manned submersibles. They can be down there. We couldn't have put Peyton in a sub and kept him down for 5 days. He would have needed
been a bad idea.
He would have needed food, bathroom break, all that air, all those great things.
Not being crushed by 3,000 meters of pressure.
Definitely.
You know.
So once Argus has recovered, the ROV and deck crew will pull Argus using the A-frame up onto deck. If you are looking at channel 2, Argus is typically positioned where those two white floats are on the back deck and strapped down, just so Argus doesn't roll off in the high seas. and they'll just go through the normal protocol, normal checklist. There's a pre-flight and a post-flight checklist for them to go through. I'll get hosed down with fresh water and be ready for the next dive, which won't happen until Monday. We're actually going into port at 8 a.m. In Pongo Pongo, and we will have some off-signers as well as some on-signers this weekend. We have a new video intern who had supposed to be joining us with this leg, but he experienced some difficulties with the international travel and got it cleared up, and will be here soon. And we'll have the ASV crew on, I believe, the 29th, and we'll have the science team from the Simone Clipper search will be leaving us and heading home. We'll have some people from the National Marine Sanctuary of American Samoa joining us. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be more of a dive that you're used to when seeing Hercules and Argus both diving at once. And we'll be collecting samples. We'll be exploring all sorts of places that have never been explored before, looking for creatures that have never been seen before. You name it. Peyton is gonna have to take slow, deep breaths to prevent himself from overwhelming with excitement.
You guys. It's going to be very exciting, though, because part of what we're going to be studying in the National Marine Sanctuary of American Samoa is deep sea corals. And deep water corals are extremely slow growing. Like,
yes.
They can take tens of thousands of years, if not more, to grow. And so there's a strong possibility that we'll be sampling some of these corals to learn more about them, learn more about their biology and lifestyle. We'll also be looking at just other organisms that live in the area. This next expedition is essentially a survey of what kind of life there is in the sanctuary. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Can still hear you. There's a question coming in. The two vehicles we use, Argus and Hercules, are ROVs. Those are remotely operated vehicles. They are not manned submersibles. So we are actually in the control van on top of the EV Nautilus. So the EV Nautilus is our expeditionary vessel, and the control van is essentially two cargo containers cut open and welded together with an extreme amount of technology set up inside of it. There is more LED lights and screens than I can possibly count in front of me, and I know there's even more behind me in the back row where Peyton's at. We control them remotely. So the controls come down from here. We run through fiber optic wire surrounded by a steel cable all the way down to Argus. Argus moves up and down with the heave of the ship, and the extra fiber optic cable that extends from Argus to Hercules allows Hercules to be controlled, operated, for us to see everything as Hercules sees it, when Hercules sees it, and also to not experience the heave of the ship. So Hercules isn't dragged back and forth across the bottom of the ocean or up and down as the currents, waves, and wind dictate. Question coming in about the scans and side scan that we did. I'm sure there'll be further cleaning up of those images and processing of those side scan sonar map and processing. I'm sure further examination will result in further plans. As if you were listening when Russ Matthews was speaking, you know, this search is far from over. It's incredibly important that we continue, and he and his team are going to be dedicated to continuing the search. Thanks to our viewer from Texas joining us.